You ever feel your chest tighten before a word leaves your mouth? Heart racing, jaw locked. That feeling, that jolt, like something grabbed the wheel before you could think. That's not emotion. That's a trigger, silently coded into your nervous system. And most people? They're not leading their lives. They're reacting to scripts they didn't choose. One look, one tone. Suddenly you're defensive. You shut down. You spiral. And then you regret it. But it's already done. Not because you're broken, but because you've been trained. Every trigger becomes a loop. Every loop becomes a reaction. Every reaction becomes your identity. And if you don't interrupt the loop, you spend your whole life being someone else's code. But here's the truth. You don't need to numb out. You don't need to suppress emotions. You need to see the spark before the fire. You need to install your emotional firewall before the world floods your system. And in this video, you'll do exactly that. You'll learn how to spot the trigger, break the loop, and reprogram your identity in real time. This is the Inner Trigger Protocol. It's not motivation, it's armor. And it starts right now.
Let's break this down. You're mid-conversation. Someone says that thing, a look, a tone, a comment that hits a nerve, and suddenly you feel your body tighten, your jaw clenches. You say something you don't mean, or worse, you say nothing and carry it all day. That's not you being emotional. That's you being triggered. Here's what actually happened. A stimulus hit. Your nervous system flinched. Emotion flooded your system. You reacted the same way you always do. Anger, withdrawal, defensiveness. And then comes the shame. But that loop, it wasn't chosen. It was trained. And every time you obey it, you don't just express it, you reinforce it. Your nervous system isn't checking what's true. It's checking what's familiar. React, regret, repeat, until that loop becomes your identity. To, I'm just sensitive. I shut down when people push me. I don't know why I get like this. But now you do. You're not reacting randomly. You're running a code, and that code is outdated. But it can be rewritten. Because if you can interrupt just 1 second of that loop, you don't just feel different, you become different. And that's what the next section gives you, the emotional firewall protocol that reclaims that second before your past writes your next move.
You don't stop reactivity with willpower. You stop it with a system. This is the protocol. 3 steps. Each one installs armor between you and the chaos. Step 1. Spot the spark. Breach detection. Triggers survive in silence. They feel automatic because you've never named them. If you can't see it, you can't stop it. Ask yourself, what moment flips your switch? A tone of dismissal? The feeling of being ignored? A challenge to your competence? Get specific, because this isn't therapy, it's tactical awareness. And once you know your pattern, you've named the first breach point in your firewall. That's your power. Clarity shrinks chaos. Step 2. Kill the autopilot. Interrupt the loop. This is where 99% collapse. because by the time the trigger hits, they're already mid-reaction. Your job, insert a break. One breath, through the nose, sharp and slow. One phrase, personal and coded. I respond, I don't react. One movement, shift posture, step back, unhook the body from the reflex. This isn't calming down. This is taking the wheel. That second of pause, it's not weakness, it's command. This is where your firewall holds. Step 3, recode the reflex, brick by brick. Now, don't leave the space empty. You've broken the loop. It's time to build the new one. If you lash out, replace it with direct, low-tone clarity. If you shut down, replace it with one line of response. If you spiral, replace it with stillness. This isn't performance. This is pattern replacement. One rep, one breath, one sentence at a time. That's not emotion management. That's identity reinstallation. Every time you do this, your nervous system rewires, your future self calibrates, and your emotional code changes permanently.
"2,000 years ago, there were no notifications, no Twitter outrage, no dopamine traps. But the real war? Still the same. React or respond. Obey emotion or command it." Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." The Stoics didn't eliminate emotion. They refused to be owned by it. Today, we wake up and scroll. We argue in comments. We react to subtweets, notifications, headlines. They woke up and wrote. They reflected before they moved. They trained silence before sound. Modern world? Same triggers, louder inputs. But here's the thing. Seneca didn't wait to feel calm. He trained calm when it mattered most. You don't need to mute your feelings. You just need to choose which ones get the microphone. This is stoicism, not numbness. It's clarity with teeth. So when pressure hits, you don't flinch. You fire with focus. Let's take that philosophy and build it into a system you can repeat, brick by brick.
Here's the truth. You won't always feel calm, but you can always feel ready if you've built the right armor. And that armor, it doesn't come from motivation. It comes from bricks. Not walls to block the world, but structures that shape your response. Brick 1, spot the breach. You name your pattern. That's your entry point. Your firewall knows where the leak is, and from now on, the system flags it every time it appears. This isn't about overthinking. It's about preparing the battlefield. Brick 2, interrupt the loop. You breathe. You move. You say your line. The spark tries to light the old fire. You snuff it out in one move. That's your circuit break. And over time, it becomes automatic. Not the trigger, the command. Brick 3, lock the code. You don't just stop the reaction. You finish the install. A chosen phrase, a sharp move, a powerful stillness. One identity cue, repeated until it's no longer a choice,
It's who you are. This is how your fortress rises, not with stone, but with signal. Each rep is a wall. Each breath is a shield. Each moment of pause is a crown. You're not suppressing emotion. You're weaponizing clarity.
This isn't about being less emotional. It's about being less hijacked. Most people don't live. They react, then regret, then repeat. But you've just installed a different system. You spotted the trigger. You broke the loop. You built the ritual. Not once, but on command, brick by brick. This is emotional sovereignty. And it doesn't come from willpower. It comes from repetition, from armor. One brick, one phrase, one chosen response, when it matters most. So, here's your move. Bang. Catch one trigger today. Interrupt it. Say your phrase, I code my response. Comment it below and lock it in. Thumbs this up if you've ever lost a day to emotion. Share this with someone still reacting to old code. Subscribe for weekly rewiring. No fluff, just fire. And always remember,
This is Vision Vortex, your space where clarity meets transformation. Subscribe now and return each week to sharpen your mind and strengthen your soul.